If you want some solid protection with some added styling for your 2007 to 2018 JK Wrangler, this officially licensed Jeep HD rear bumper with the LED Jeep logo backlight will be a great addition to your build. Now, this will be a really good option for your JK if you're in search of a rear bumper that's going to provide you all of the essentials of protection and utility, whether you're keeping it just to the street or if you're taking your JK off-road. Now, what's also great about this bumper is that this is going to be pretty straightforward in design if you're looking to keep it pretty toned down while matching any other HD accessories you may already have on your Jeep, but you still want that custom feel at the same time, which is where that LED backlit Jeep logo comes into play. Now, that's going to make your Jeep stand out, and while it doesn't have full brake light functions, it is going to undoubtedly make you more noticeable when driving around, which will ultimately keep you safer on the street. This will have a high clearance and sleek design, offering everything that you would need out of a rear bumper setup. Now, starting off in the center here, you're going to see a large cutout. This is to accommodate up to a 35-inch tire with the factory carrier, also doubling as a step here. So if you need to open up the tailgate and hop up to access any roof-mounted accessories, you can use this to do so. This will also come with a frame-mounted hitch and 2 welded D-ring mounts, as well as 2 9,500-pound rated D-rings, all with the ability to get you out of a sticky situation if you are taking your JK off-road, or mount up any hitch-mounted accessories. Now, the star of the show is right in the center here, being the Jeep cutout with the LED red backlight. Now, this is going to come with an independent plug-and-play switch to not only make it very easy to use and install, which we'll get to in just a minute, but it's also going to add that extra flair to the rear end of your build, while again making you a lot more noticeable when driving around on the street. Now, this will be able to take a hit made of a 3/16-inch thick steel plate construction. Now, on top will feature a premium 2-stage epoxy pre-coat and fine texture black powder coat for a premium and heavy-duty appearance, in addition to rust prevention. Now, the LEDs will also be durable thanks to the long-lasting and efficient qualities, as well as the tough housing that it comes in. Again, this is also going to come with everything that you need to make the swap, including the wiring harness for the light, and it's going to be a direct bolt-on as far as a mod is concerned, so you don't have to worry about any modifications when it comes to the install. Now, this will be on the more affordable side in comparison to other options in the category at about $525. Now, comparing this to other choices, the more simplistic build here will save you a couple bucks if you're not looking for anything too flashy, while still getting the custom feel and look thanks to that Jeep lighting, making it a great deal if you want that extra protection and utility as well as style, while saving a few bucks in the long run. Not to mention, being officially licensed by Jeep means that this is going to be backed by that OE quality that you're used to, so you can rest assured that you can rely on this rear bumper. Install will be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and will probably take you about 2 hours to get the job done with some basic hand tools. At this point, we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get this installed and wired up. So that's gonna wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun or ratchet, a 16 and an 18 millimeter socket, a 1/4-inch ratchet with a 10 and a 13 millimeter socket, an 18 millimeter wrench, a pair of side cutters. You'll need to source some zip ties and some rubbing alcohol. Hi everyone, today we're installing a rear bumper on our Jeep, so let's get started with the uninstall of the stock bumper first. All right, to remove our bumper, there's 2 bolts behind the bumper here that attach the bumper to the frame on each side. So you've got 2 on this side, 2 on the driver's side. Plus, also, there are a couple of brackets, 1 on the passenger side here, right about this area here, and 1 on the other side as well. Now, there's a couple other things that you may have to deal with as well that we don't have on our vehicle, such as tow hooks. If you need to take your tow hooks off after you get the bumper off, there's 3 18 millimeter bolts that you'll have to remove. Also, if you have a trailer hitch, that will have to come off as well. And there are 4 bolts behind the bumper here that you'll have to remove with an 18 millimeter socket in order to remove your trailer hitch. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and get our bumper removed. All right, so we're going to remove these 2 bolts here that hold the bracket for the bumper to the frame using our 16 millimeter socket. Now, you can remove the same 2 bolts on the driver's side as well. Now, you should also have a bracket right here, right behind the muffler,
and you'll have a 16 millimeter bolt in there, and then you'll have another one above that that attaches to the bumper. So you'll need a 16 millimeter wrench for this one and a short 16 millimeter socket to go for the top one. Once you've got those removed, then you can go ahead and lift your bumper off.
Now, once you've got all of your bolts and your brackets removed from the back side of the bumper, you can simply lift it up and get it out of the way. So first thing we're going to install is going to be our trailer hitch. Now the kit does come with 4 M12 by 120 bolts with flat washers and lock washers. So we're going to put a flat washer on our bolt, put our trailer hitch up to the cross member, and insert the bolts through. So we've got 4 bolts in the center. So we'll slide our hitch up. Slide a bolt with a flat washer on it. Through all 4 holes. Now we can go ahead and put our flat washer, our lock washer, and our nut on the back side. All right, now we'll put a flat washer, our lock washer, and our nut on the back side, and we'll repeat that process for the other 3 bolts. Now with all of our bolts and our nuts installed, we go ahead and tighten them all down using an 18 millimeter wrench and an 18 millimeter socket. All right, now we can install these 2 nut plates into the end of the frame rails here, making sure, of course, that our nuts are towards the top so that they line up with the 2 holes in the side of the frame. Now you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, now we're ready to actually put our bumper on. So I've got a buddy to help me lift this up because it is kind of heavy. So we'll lift this up, slide it on the outside of the frame rails here, and then install the 2 bolts on each side into the nut plates that we've just previously installed. All right, so now we can go ahead and check our clearances, make sure it's level, and go ahead and tighten up our bolts using our 18 millimeter socket. And now repeat this process for the other side. All right, now we can go ahead and install our D-rings simply by placing them over the mount, sliding our bolt through, and screwing it in. Now you can repeat this for the other side. All right, now we're ready to run the wiring harness for our light in the bumper so that we can actually activate it when we want to. To do that, first thing we're going to do is disconnect the negative battery cable up front here, and then we'll run our wires, and then we'll hook everything up, and then we'll rehook the battery at the very end. So you're going to need a 10 millimeter socket to disconnect the negative battery terminal here on the battery. And pop that off and make sure that it gets out of the way. There are several of them listed in the manufacturer's instructions. You can choose which way you want to do it. We're just going to take the simple route and just run the supplied harness. So what we're going to do is run this now in this corner right next to the factory harness that's already attached here. So we're just going to feed this down right alongside the factory harness. And what it's going to do is it's going to feed out inside the fender well here, and then we'll run it down along the frame rail all the way to the back of the vehicle. So we'll go ahead and feed this through. All right, so we've got it pulled down into our fender well here. So now we'll just go ahead and finish feeding it through and get all of the harness down through here so that we can run it to the back. Like so. Now we'll go ahead and pull that all the way through so we can run it to the back of the vehicle. All right, so now you'll notice on this harness also that we've got a switch to activate the light, and we also have our connectors for power. So for right now, we're just going to set these two aside, and we'll deal with the installation of those after we get our harness run back to the bumper. All right, now it's a little difficult to get our camera in here, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to feed our connector for our bumper between the body and the frame rail here. So we're just going to feed that through. And now what we'll do is we'll run this harness all the way along the frame rail, zip tying it every foot or so to the factory harness that's already on there, and then we'll go ahead and connect it to the back of the vehicle. All right, now this is where we've got our harness coming down alongside the firewall. Like I said, we're just going to zip tie this new harness to the already existing factory harness. The main thing that you want to be aware of is that you keep everything away from any moving parts and from any kind of heat source. So we'll just zip tie this to the existing harness, and that should keep everything pretty safe. Now, once you've got it tied up, go ahead and cut off the excess with a pair of diagonal cutters. And then just follow this process all the way to the back of the vehicle. All right, now we're going to go ahead and secure the harness for our switch along the back side of the firewall here, and we're just going to zip tie it to the current vehicle harness. So we'll just go ahead and set this aside and work our way across. All right, so we're just going to zip tie this to the current vehicle harness just to make sure it stays out of the way and it's nice and secure. Cut off our excess here. We'll put another one in over here. And now we just work our way across till we get it all secured. All right, now we're ready to run our switch for our bumper light inside the vehicle. Now we got to figure out a place, first of all, where to put it through on the firewall, and then we'll have to decide once we get it inside where we're going to mount it to be able to activate it. So just over to the side of the master cylinder here, next to the fender, there is a rubber grommet. And you can use a utility knife or a razor blade, something of that nature, to go ahead and open that up so that you can feed the switch through. Now it's really difficult to get the camera and the light in here, but I'll do my best to show you exactly where it's at so you'll know where you're going to put your switch through, or I should say where we're going to put it through. So let's go ahead and show you where that's at. All right, so if you're sitting in the vehicle, it's going to be to the left of the master cylinder. So it's right down here, about halfway down the master cylinder on the side. So if you slice that open, and ours has already been sliced open, we've done a few modifications before. So we just feed our switch through there, and then we'll figure out, once we get it inside, where we're gonna mount it. All right, now some of you may find it a little bit difficult to get your hands down in there between the master cylinder and all of the other wiring and everything that's going on in there. So what we can do is go ahead and disconnect the switch from the harness, like so, and then we'll feed this in from the inside of the vehicle through the firewall and reconnect it on this side. All right, so before we feed our switch wire through the firewall, we're gonna go ahead and mount it to the dash right here. That way we can run the wire behind this trim panel underneath the steering column and under the dash, and then we'll feed it through, so we only have to do it one time. So it's a good idea to use either an alcohol pad or just some rubbing alcohol in a clean cloth and clean off the spot where you're going to actually attach the switch. Now, once you've got that clean, go ahead and peel the backing off of the switch. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this trim panel here, and it just simply snaps out by pulling on it like so. So we'll go ahead and feed our wire behind this steel plate here. And then we can attach our switch to the dash. And then reach up underneath the dash and pull the wire out so that it's out of the way here. You see we've got it pulled out there. Now we can go ahead and replace our trim panel. Now we can go ahead and feed our wire through the firewall. All right, so now we'll feed our wire through the grommet in the firewall, and now we can go ahead and reconnect it underneath the hood. Now we'll go ahead and plug our switch back into our harness and tuck away any excess. Now we can go ahead and connect our power to the battery. All right, so now we can hook up our power and our ground from our harness. We're going to hook up our power through the fuse box here. There is a power stud underneath the handle here, so we'll go ahead and hook it up there, and then we'll use this fender bolt here as the ground. All right, so we're going to open up our fuse block simply by pushing in on the release levers and lifting up on the lid. Then we'll use our 13mm socket and remove the nut on this power stud right here. And we'll connect our red wire. We'll slide that over the stud and replace the nut. We'll tighten that back down with our 13mm socket and close our lid. Now we can connect our ground, and you can choose any place that you want that will give you a good ground. For our purposes right now though, we're just going to remove this fender bolt here and put the wire underneath that. So we'll use our 10mm socket, remove this bolt, slide it through the wire, and then reattach the bolt. And finally, we'll reconnect our negative cable to the battery. And we'll tighten that down with our 10mm socket as well. All right, now that we've got our harness run, we can go ahead and connect it to our light simply by pushing in until it snaps and locks into place. Now, once you've got it connected, we'll go ahead and zip tie it to the cross member that runs across that the trailer hitch is hooked to. So we'll just run our zip tie and our harness over the top. Snug that up, and then cut off the excess. And that wraps up our review and install of the officially licensed Jeep HD rear bumper with LED Jeep logo backlight for your 07 to 18 Jeep Wrangler JK. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Jeep, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.